Massachusetts, a historic state in New England, is known as a hub of education, culture, and revolution. Boston, its vibrant capital, is home to two of the world's most prestigious universities, Harvard and MIT. The Freedom Trail invites visitors to step back in time and explore sites pivotal to the American Revolution. The city of Salem captivates with its haunting stories of witch trials.
Welcome to Salem!
Meanwhile, Cape Cod lures travelers with its stunning beaches and charming villages, while the Berkshires enchant art lovers with its renowned museums and theaters. But beneath this picture of prosperity, poverty casts a long shadow over Massachusetts. Migrants find themselves trapped in a cycle of exploitation, struggling with low wages and limited access to services. This forgotten generation faces severe hardships, painting a stark contrast between the American dream and the harsh reality for many in Massachusetts. Officially known as the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, this state is located in the heart of New England in the northeastern United States, bordered by the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Maine to the east, and neighboring Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Vermont, and New York. It is the sixth smallest state in the U.S. by land area. With a population of over 7 million in 2020, Massachusetts is the most populous state in New England, ranking 16th in the nation. Rich in history, Massachusetts is home to key landmarks, including Plymouth, where the Mayflower first landed, and Boston Common, the first public park in America. The state has been the birthplace of innovations like basketball and volleyball. Other notable landmarks include the country's first lighthouse and its largest public library. With its breathtaking fall foliage and a legacy of significant contributions to American history, Massachusetts stands as a symbol of culture and innovation. Economically, Massachusetts is one of the wealthiest states in the U.S., with a GDP of $584 billion in 2020 and a per capita income of $53,221 in 2012, placing it among the top states nationally. Its progressive policies, such as raising the minimum wage to $15 per hour in January 2023, demonstrate a commitment to workers' well-being. Yet, despite this economic stability, Massachusetts now faces significant challenges. As the only state with a right-to-shelter policy, Massachusetts offers emergency protection for homeless families. This policy has become a magnet for thousands of migrants, particularly from Haiti, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, who view the state as a land of new opportunities. By August 2023, Governor Maura Healey declared a state of emergency as the influx of migrants had overwhelmed the state's shelter system, with over 3,500 individuals relying on aid. The financial impact has been substantial. Massachusetts spent more than $116 million to house and feed these migrants, placing a significant strain on the state's budget. On the other hand, criminal cases involving illegal immigrants, including incidents of child sexual assault, have exacerbated public concerns, highlighting the lack of effective oversight and control. Despite these challenges, many migrants continue to hope for a better life in Massachusetts. However, the state's policies, which prioritize aid for migrants, often spark fierce debates about the state's priorities and their impact on local residents. Massachusetts now finds itself at a crossroads, balancing its humanitarian values with the growing demands of its economy. But the challenges don't end there. Homelessness in Massachusetts has surged in recent years. In 2023, the state reported 19,107 homeless individuals. By 2024, that number skyrocketed to 29,435, a dramatic 54% increase. Of this total, 6,950 were individuals without homes, while the remaining 22,485 were part of family units. Chronic homelessness has also risen, from 1,577 cases in 2013 to 2,021 in 2024. Similarly, chronic homeless families have seen a sharp increase, from 538 to 864 during the same period. This surge reflects the complex impact of various factors, including housing instability, eviction protections during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the added strain of migrant arrivals, which have further complicated the state's shelter system. These fluctuations present significant challenges, particularly in accurately counting the homeless population. Extreme weather conditions also affect visibility, with many individuals seeking temporary shelters or hidden locations, making it harder to track the true extent of the crisis. This issue highlights the vulnerability of marginalized groups in Massachusetts, where the homelessness crisis serves as a stark reminder of the deeply rooted structural inequities that continue to persist and are difficult to address. Amidst its reputation as a progressive state, Massachusetts harbors a darker side that cannot be ignored. In 2024, the overall crime rate in Massachusetts stands at 2,415 per 100,000 residents. While this is relatively lower than the national average, it still reflects significant challenges, especially in certain areas. These figures include various types of crimes, from violent offenses to property crimes, all of which paint a troubling picture in some communities. Cities like Boston and Springfield have witnessed the growing influence of gangs. One such group, the Heath Street Gang, has been involved in a range of criminal activities, including murder, shootings, drug trafficking, and financial fraud. Over 40 members of this gang were arrested in a large-scale operation, but their trail of violence continues to haunt the city. Tragically, one of their victims was a 9-year-old girl who was severely injured during a shooting at a family event in Roxbury. At the root of much of this violence lies poverty. Gangs like Heath Street prey on young people from impoverished communities, using them as tools to maintain their grip on power. Children as young as 12 are recruited to serve as lookouts, while intimidation and violence are the gang's primary tactics. With limited community resources, such as creative spaces and educational programs, many of these youth find themselves trapped in a cycle of crime. In recent years, Massachusetts has also seen a rise in violent crime, including aggravated assault, murder, and robbery, with rates reaching 322 per 100,000 residents, about 15% below the national average. Aggravated assault is the most common type of violent crime, with a rate of 253 per 100,000 residents. Meanwhile, property crime, including petty theft, burglary, and motor vehicle theft, stands at 1,070 per 100,000 residents, around 45% lower than the national average of 1,954 per 100,000. Theft is the most prevalent property crime, with a rate of 828 per 100,000 residents. Despite the state's overall crime rates being relatively low, there is considerable variation between local communities. Cities like Holyoke and Springfield experience higher crime rates, particularly when it comes to violent and property crimes. However, crime in Massachusetts is not merely a product of urbanization. It also stems from uneven economic distribution. In smaller tourist towns like Nantucket, a seasonal surge in population can lead to a temporary spike in petty theft and burglaries. The cycle of poverty, lack of opportunity, and criminal activity are deeply interconnected. Massachusetts, despite its many advantages, still faces significant challenges in achieving true social justice and equality. Behind the crime statistics, there are stories of marginalized communities where children lose their future to gangs, and residents live in the shadow of violence and fear. Massachusetts is currently grappling with an escalating opioid crisis, one that has led to overdose death rates more than double the national average. In 2022 alone, 2,357 opioid-related deaths were recorded, an alarming increase from the previous year. The primary culprit in these deaths is fentanyl, a synthetic opioid that is 50 times stronger than heroin. Fentanyl was found in 93% of opioid overdose deaths, underscoring its devastating impact on the state. This crisis isn't limited to adults. Teenagers are also increasingly at risk. Data reveals that 32.6% of 12th grade students in Massachusetts reported using illicit drugs in the past year. Many of these teens obtain prescription drugs from friends or family members, creating easy access to dangerous substances. Regions like Lowell have become hotspots for overdose deaths. In this area, overdose fatalities surged from 118 cases in 2012 to 382 in 2022. The combination of fentanyl with other substances, like xylazine, has worsened the crisis, while 5 out of 10 pills seized in the region were found to contain deadly doses of fentanyl. These statistics highlight the complexity of the opioid epidemic. Despite Massachusetts having relatively low opioid prescription rates, the flow of illegal drugs through major Northeast corridors, along with the region's economic pressures, have all contributed to the rise in overdose cases. Today, fentanyl is the deadliest drug threat in the state. On top of the opioid crisis, Massachusetts is also facing the threat of eastern equine encephalitis, a deadly disease transmitted by mosquitoes. In Oxford, a curfew was imposed after a resident contracted the virus, marking the first case in 4 years. This summer, 5 deaths from eastern equine encephalitis occurred in the Northeast and Midwest, with several Massachusetts communities classified as high-risk areas. However, amidst these health concerns, conspiracy theories have emerged, further complicating the situation. A viral video falsely claimed that helicopters were releasing genetically engineered mosquitoes over Massachusetts, involving conspiracy theories about companies like Oxitec and figures like Bill Gates. These claims were firmly debunked by public health officials and Oxitec, who clarified that their genetically modified mosquitoes do not bite or transmit diseases. This misinformation has fostered distrust in official public health measures. While the virus is a real and present danger, the spread of fake news has introduced a new challenge, combating the harmful effects of misinformation in a time of genuine public health concern.